The screen fades in on a storm-lashed night in 1890, where the imposing silhouette of Ravenbrook Manor stands against the flickering rage of lightning. The wind howls through the gnarled trees, their branches clawing at the sky as if trying to escape the earth. Inside, the grand halls of the Blackwood family estate are alive with dread. Candlelight trembles, casting monstrous shadows that writhe along the walls. A young woman, Eleanor Blackwood, dressed in a torn white nightgown, stumbles through the darkened corridors, her breath ragged. Her wide, terrified eyes dart toward unseen pursuers, her own family. The air is thick with the scent of burning herbs and something fouler, something old and unholy. From the darkness, strong hands seize her. Her father, Silas Blackwood, grips her arm with cold authority, his face a mask of grim duty. Behind him, her mother, Margaret, clutches a black leather-bound book, its pages filled with forbidden sigils. Eleanor begs, her voice raw with betrayal. "Please, I've done nothing wrong." But they do not listen. They drag her down into the manor's cellar, a place of damp stone and rusted iron. The flickering torchlight reveals a crude altar, its surface stained with generations of dark offerings. Around it, the Blackwoods stand in a silent circle, their faces hollowed by shadows. Margaret steps forward, pressing a bone needle threaded with black silk into Eleanor's trembling hands. "You will save us," she whispers, as if it is a kindness. Eleanor struggles, but the servants, loyal to the family's twisted legacy, hold her down. Then comes the ritual. The needle pierces flesh, stitching Eleanor's lips shut in slow, agonizing passes. Her screams are muffled into whimpers as the thread pulls tighter, sealing away her voice forever. The Blackwoods chant in low, guttural tones, an old language, a plea to something that should not be named. As the final stitch is tied, Eleanor's eyes lock onto her father's. In them, there is no remorse, only relief. The candlelight gutters out. Darkness. Then a whisper, her voice but not hers, echoing from the walls. "They will remember." The screen cuts to black. The storm rages on. The year is 1890. The screen remains black as the sound of a violent storm cracks through the silence. Rain hammers against glass. Wind screams through ancient timbers. Then, a single match strikes. We see Eleanor Blackwood's face illuminated in the trembling flame, her wide, bloodshot eyes darting through the darkness of Ravenbrook Manor's upper hallway. Her breath comes in short, panicked bursts. The match burns low, searing her fingertips, but she doesn't flinch. Something is hunting her in her own home. She presses her back against the wall as the floorboards creak under something heavy just around the corner. Not footsteps, more like something being dragged. A wet, ragged breath echoes from the stairwell. Eleanor's hands shake as she lights another match, just in time to see black veins crawling up the wallpaper like roots spreading from somewhere below. A child's whisper, "Eleanor, ... She runs. Her nightgown snags on a splintered doorframe, tearing as she stumbles into the grand foyer. The family portraits lining the walls are all defaced, eyes gouged out, mouths smeared with soot. The largest painting of her father, Silas Blackwood, now has a second face peeling through the canvas, something with too many teeth. A door slams shut behind her. From the shadows of the parlor, her mother Margaret steps forward, holding a black leather-bound book bound in what looks like human skin. Her lips move, but the voice that comes out is deeper, older. "The house is hungry, Eleanor." Then the servants emerge, not the living, but the long dead, their faces sagging, their mouths sewn shut with the same black thread that now coils across the floor like serpents. They grab her. The descent. They drag her, kicking and screaming, down into the sub-cellar, a place older than the manor itself. The walls are not brick, but petrified bone, the air thick with the stench of copper and spoiled milk. In the center of the room, an altar made of blackened teeth and fused finger bones juts up from the ground. Her father stands waiting, a bone needle threaded with hair-thin black wire in his hand. His eyes are entirely black. The pact must be renewed, he says, as the other Blackwoods, generations of them, some half-rotten, step from the darkness. The ritual. They hold her down. The needle pierces her lip, and the pain is unnatural. It doesn't just hurt her flesh, but her soul, like hooks dragging through her very being. Each stitch pulls tighter, and with every puncture, she feels something else entering her, filling her up. The last thing she sees before her mouth is sealed forever is her youngest brother, Thomas, standing in the corner. He's smiling. Then, a whisper from inside her own skull. We will make them remember. The candles snuff out. In the suffocating dark, something laughs. A rusted, now leaving Ravenbrook sign whips past the window of a dusty sedan. Lena Carter, late 20s, historian, tired eyes, tightens her grip on the wheel as her GPS glitches out, the screen filling with static before dying completely. The road ahead narrows, swallowed by overgrown oaks, whose branches twist into unnatural arches. The last light of sunset bleeds through the leaves, casting the forest in a sickly amber glow. A lone crow perched on a rotting fence post turns its head 180 degrees to watch her pass. Ext, Ravenbrook Town Square, continuous. The sedan rolls to a stop in front of a crumbling brick general store. The town is eerily still, no people, just the faint creak of a rusted playground swing moving in the wind. The store's neon open sign buzzes, half lit, the O flickering like a dying pulse. Lena steps out, her boots crunching on gravel. The air smells of wet earth and something metallic. A newspaper from 1987 blows past her feet, the headline half legible. Local family vanishes, Blackwood estate sealed. Before she can pick it up, a voice rasps from the shadows of the store's porch. You shouldn't be here. An old woman in a moth-eaten shawl, Mrs. Dunn, rocks slowly in a chair, her milky eyes fixed on Lena. Her gnarled fingers work at a bundle of black thread, weaving it into a crude doll. Lena forces a smile. I inherited Ravenbrook Manor. Just here to... No one inherits that place. Mrs. Dunn's knitting needles click like bones. It inherits you. A gust of wind slams the store's screen door shut with a gunshot crack. When Lena looks back, the old woman is gone, the rocking chair still swaying. Only the thread doll remains, its stitched mouth grinning up at her from the floorboards. XT. Ravenbrook Manor gates. Night. Lena's headlights cut through the fog as the manor looms ahead, its iron gates slightly ajar as if waiting. The car radio, silent the whole drive, suddenly blares static. Then a child's voice whispering, Eleanor, let us in. Lena slams the brakes. The radio dies. She steps out, the gates creaking open on their own. Beyond them, the manor's windows reflect no light, just an endless, starless dark. A single black thread slithers across the gravel toward her shoe, fade to black. The camera hugs the asphalt as Lena's sedan speeds down a rain-slicked road, her headlights barely piercing the thick, soupy fog that's rolled in. The trees here don't just line the road. They lean inward, their branches twisted into gnarled, arthritic fingers. Suddenly, thud. Something heavy hits her windshield. Lena slams the brakes, the car fishtailing. She gasps. But there's no blood, no animal, just a single black feather stuck to the glass. When she reaches to wipe it away, the feather dissolves into smoke. The radio, silent until now, crackles to life. A 1940s news broadcast about a Blackwood family tragedy, cutting in and out. Then, a voice that isn't the announcer's. "You're late, Lena." Static. Dead air. Xed. Ravenbrook town limits. Night. The welcome to Ravenbrook sign is rotted through, the letters Raven scratched out, leaving only Brook, the O, dangling like a noose. Lena's GPS glitches violently, the map stretching the road into impossible loops before the screen fills with black threads that squirm under the glass. She shuts it off. A deer stands frozen in the road ahead, but its eyes are human, and its mouth is stitched shut with coarse black thread. It doesn't blink, doesn't breathe. Lena swerves around it. In the rearview mirror, the deer tilts its head 180 degrees to watch her leave. Inside, the shelves are half empty, the goods covered in dust. The only fresh items? Rows of bone needles and spools of black thread. Mrs. Dunn sits knitting in the corner, her needles clicking like a ticking clock. She doesn't look up as Lena enters. "I'm headed to Ravenbrook Manor." The knitting stops. The store's antique grandfather clock chimes 13 times. "Mrs. Dunn, then you're already dead. You just don't know it yet." She holds up her knitting, a small noose, perfectly stitched. Outside, the wind carries the sound of children laughing, but the playground is empty, the swings moving on their own. One creaks back and forth, its chains rusted red. The manor's iron gates are wide open, the Blackwood crest smeared with something dark and wet. The moment Lena's car passes through, the gates slam shut behind her, the sound echoing like a tomb ceiling. Her headlights die. The engine cuts out. Silence. Then, a whisper from the back seat. "We've been waiting." Lena whirls around. The seat is empty, but the rear window is covered in handprints, all small, all bloody. When she turns back, a woman in a tattered white dress stands in the road ahead, her back to Lena. The woman's head twists slowly, impossibly, 180 degrees, revealing Eleanor Blackwood's stitched-shut smile. Fade to black. The grand oak door groans shut behind Lena, the sound echoing through the cavernous foyer like a dying breath. Her flashlight beam cuts through dust motes that swirl like disturbed spirits. The air smells of mothballs and spoiled roses. Underneath, something meaty and metallic. A grandfather clock stands frozen at 3:17 a.m., its pendulum motionless. Lena reaches out. Click. The hands jerk backward to 12:06, the exact time Eleanor Blackwood died. Inti. Main hall. Continuous. Her footsteps don't echo. The manor drinks sound. The walls are lined with portraits of Blackwoods, all with their eyes scratched out. Except one, a painting of a young girl, Eleanor at 12, whose eyes track Lena's movement, her smile widening beyond human limits. Lena tears the painting off the wall. Behind it, hundreds of black threads squirm from a hole in the plaster like spider legs retracting. Int master bedroom. Later, the four-poster bed is made with fresh linens, impossible given the decades of neglect. The pillow bears a deep indentation, as if someone just rose from it. Lena opens the wardrobe. Inside, Eleanor's white nightgown, stained yellow with age. When Lena touches it, the fabric is still damp. A drip hits her hand. She looks up. The ceiling is spotless, but another warm droplet lands on her cheek. She wipes it, black and syrupy. The first whisper. Lena spins as a child's giggle skitters down the hallway. She follows it to a nursery, its rocking chair moving on its own. On the floor, a doll with its mouth sewn shut. Lena picks it up. The threads unravel on their own. the doll's cloth lips parting to vomit black sludge onto her hands. Within the muck, a human tooth. The mirror. Back in her room, Lena scrubs her hands in the antique vanity mirror. Her reflection blinks. Lena freezes. The reflection keeps scrubbing, the water in its sink turning cloudy red. It looks up. "You shouldn't have come," it mouths. No sound. Then the mirror shatters inward, spraying glass. The bed. Exhausted, Lena collapses onto the mattress. The moment she closes her eyes, wait. Something crawls onto the foot of the bed, the frame creaking under its mass. Lena's eyes stay squeezed shut as icy fingers trail up her calf. A wet, stitched mouth presses against her ear. "I've missed you, sister." Lena's eyes fly open. The room is empty, but the bedroom door, which she locked, now stands wide open. Down the hall, the grandfather clock chimes once. It's 12:06 a.m. Pale light bleeds through stained glass windows, casting the library in sickly hues of blood and bile. Lena sits at a carved mahogany desk, her fingers tracing the crusted lock of Eleanor's diary. The lock squeals open on its own. The first page. They call it a gift. It is a curse. The ink swirls, reforming into new words before her eyes. "Lena, you shouldn't be reading this." A black tear drips from the page, burning a hole in the paper. The diary flips itself to a later entry. The sacrifice. Flashback. Lena's vision warps. Int. Blackwood Cellar. 1890. Eleanor, barely 16, kneels before the altar. Her father Silas holds a ritual dagger made from a human femur. Around them, hooded figures chant in a guttural tongue. The dagger plunges, not into Eleanor, but into a bound servant girl. Blood fills a chalice carved from a skull. Silas forces Eleanor to drink. "The pact demands Blackwood blood," he hisses, "but we give it their blood instead." The servant girl's mouth splits open unnaturally wide, and black threads erupt from her throat, stitching her lips shut as she chokes. Eleanor screams. The diary's pages flutter violently. The truth. Back in the present, Lena vomits black bile onto the desk. The droplets squirm, forming words. They cheated. The diary's final page peels itself back, revealing human skin beneath the parchment. A child's handprint bleeds through the surface. When Lena touches it, int, nursery, 1889, vision. A 4-year-old Lena, impossible, sits playing with a doll. Young Eleanor strokes her hair. "Don't worry, little sister," Eleanor whispers. "When the time comes, I'll swallow the curse for you." The vision ruptures. The diary screams in Eleanor's voice. The revelation. Lena staggers to a family tree tapestry. Her fingers find a burnt section where her own name should be. From the shadows, Mrs. Dunn's voice whispers, "The youngest Blackwood daughter always dies at 28. Eleanor delayed your fate. Now the house wants what it's owed." Lena's reflection in the window grins with stitched lips. Fade to black. Lena stumbles down the stairs, Eleanor's diary clutched like a live grenade. The walls pulse with a slow, sick heartbeat, black veins now visible beneath the peeling wallpaper. Tom, 40s, the only handyman in Ravenbrook who'd agree to step foot on the property, stands in the foyer, toolbox in hand. He doesn't notice, the chandelier's crystals weeping black tears onto his jacket, his own shadow detaching itself to slither up the wall. Place is a goddamn mausoleum. Where's the cellar? A cold breath gusts from the hallway. Every door in the house creaks open simultaneously. Int. Cellar stairwell. Continuous. Tom's flashlight beam cuts through cobwebs that twitch away from the light. The stairs groan underfoot, not from weight, but from something pressing up beneath them. Lena hesitates at the threshold. The diary in her hands grows unnaturally warm. Tom, mocking. What? City girl? Scared of a little. The bottom step yawns open like a mouth, revealing rows of splintered teeth. Tom barely avoids falling in. Lena, we should go. Tom, laughing, nervous now. Not till I see what's down. A black thread slithers from the darkness and wraps around his ankle. The pull. Tom is yanked forward, his scream cut short as his back hits every step on the way down. Lena lunges and catches only his left work glove still warm. From the cellar darkness comes the sound of wet, stitching, a bone needle scraping stone. Tom's muffled screams growing progressively higher pitched, then silence. The cellar door slams itself shut. Tom's toolbox, left at the top of the stairs, now filled with black threads and human molars. A single drop of blood that rolls up the stairs toward Lena. The house always collects its debts. You're next, sister. Lena turns the page. Another message forms in real time. P.S. Look behind you. In the foyer mirror, Tom's reflection stands, mouth perfectly stitched shut, eyes sewn open. He raises a trembling hand and points at Lena. The mirror shatters. EXT, Ravenbrook General Store. Next morning, Mrs. Dunn adds a new doll to her collection, this one with Tom's flannel shirt and X's for eyes. The shop's radio crackles. Local handyman reported missing, 3rd this year. She smiles, stitching the doll's mouth shut with thread pulled from her own wrist. The sun hangs motionless in the sky, casting sharp, unnatural shadows that point toward the boarded-up church. Lena marches past the general store, its windows now completely blacked out with thread, toward the town archives. The few locals on the street freeze mid-motion as she passes. The barber stops shaving a customer, straight razor hovering over a stitched-shut mouth. Children pause their hopscotch game, the chalk lines forming a Blackwood family sigil. A butcher hangs fresh meat that twitches on the hook. No one speaks. No one blinks. Int. Ravenbrook Archives. Moments later, Mr. Greaves, 80s, the town historian, sits surrounded by piles of children's shoes. His fingers are stitched together at the knuckles, a living rosary. He doesn't look up as Lena slams Eleanor's diary on the table. Lena, why does the house want me? Greaves's lips part with a wet tearing sound. They too were sewn shut long ago. When he speaks, 3 voices overlap. His own wheezing rasp. A little girl's giggle, Eleanor's voice. Greaves, it doesn't want you, dear. It owns you. He slides a 1903 town ledger across the table. The pages stick together with old blood. The ledger's secret. Montage. As Lena flips through, ghostly hands rise from the pages to point at damning entries. June 7th, 1890, paid J. Smith 10 silver coins for daughter's silence. December 25th, 1921, Christmas tithe, 1 blind boy to the cellar. September 3rd, 1987, last sacrifice, L. Carter's infant daughter. The final entry leaks black fluid that forms Lena's birth certificate, signed in Eleanor's handwriting. Greaves taps the date. You died at 12 hours old. Eleanor unstitched time itself to save you. Outside, the church bells ring backwards. The archives come alive. The ledger screams. The children's shoes scuttle like crabs into a corner. Greaves stands, his stitched fingers snapping threads as he gestures wildly. Greaves. The house gave us bountiful harvests and healthy children for 200 years. All it asked in return was Lena. Innocent lives. The walls peel away, revealing hundreds of preserved mouths pressed against the insulation, all stitched in Eleanor's distinct pattern. A single thread slithers from Greaves's wrist toward Lena. He grabs it, yanks hard, and his jaw unhinges, vomiting up a perfectly preserved human tongue onto the ledger. It spells one word in blood: run. The chase. Lena bolts into the square, now completely empty except for the hopscotch grid redrawn as a labyrinth leading to the manor, the butcher's meat now bearing Tom's face. Every storefront window reflecting Eleanor behind her. She reaches her car, engine dead, seats filled with black thread. From the archives, Greaves's voice booms through the town PA system. "You can't break a pact written in your own blood, Lena Carter." The church doors blast open, revealing rows of stitched-shut worshippers kneeling before an altar made of blackwood portraits. At the center, a fresh noose woven from Eleanor's hair. The sun hangs motionless in the sky, casting sharp, unnatural shadows that point toward the boarded-up church. Lena marches past the general store, its windows now completely blacked out with thread, toward the town archives. The few locals on the street freeze mid-motion as she passes. The barber stops shaving a customer, straight razor hovering over a stitched-shut mouth. Children pause their hopscotch game, the chalk lines forming a Blackwood family sigil. A butcher hangs fresh meat that twitches on the hook. No one speaks. No one blinks. Ind. Ravenbrook Archives. Moments later, Mr. Greaves, 80s, the town historian, sits surrounded by piles of children's shoes. His fingers are stitched together at the knuckles, a living rosary. He doesn't look up as Lena slams Eleanor's diary on the table. "Lena, why does the house want me?" Greaves's lips part with a wet tearing sound. They too were sewn shut long ago. When he speaks, three voices overlap, his own wheezing rasp, a little girl's giggle, Eleanor's voice. Greaves, "It doesn't want you, dear. It owns you." He slides a 1903 town ledger across the table. The pages stick together with old blood. The ledger's secret. Montage. As Lena flips through, ghostly hands rise from the pages to point at damning entries. June 7th, 1890. Paid J. Smith 10 silver coins for daughter's silence. December 25th, 1921. Christmas tithe. 1 blind boy to the cellar. September 3rd, 1987. Last sacrifice. L. Carter's infant daughter. The final entry leaks black fluid that forms Lena's birth certificate, signed in Eleanor's handwriting. Greaves taps the date. "You died at 12 hours old. Eleanor unstitched time itself to save you." Outside, the church bells ring backwards. The archives come alive. The ledger screams. The children's shoes scuttle like crabs into a corner. Greaves stands, his stitched fingers snapping threads as he gestures wildly. Greaves, "The house gave us bountiful harvests and healthy children for 200 years. All it asked in return was..." Lena, "Innocent lives." The walls peel away, revealing hundreds of preserved mouths pressed against the insulation, all stitched in Eleanor's distinct pattern. A single thread slithers from Greaves's wrist toward Lena. He grabs it, yanks hard, and his jaw unhinges, vomiting up a perfectly preserved human tongue onto the ledger. It spells one word in blood: run the chase. Lena bolts into the square, now completely empty except for the hopscotch grid redrawn as a labyrinth leading to the manor, the butcher's meat now bearing Tom's face. Every storefront window reflecting Eleanor behind her. She reaches her car, engine dead, seats filled with black thread. From the archives, Greaves' voice booms through the town PA system. "You can't break a pact written in your own blood, Lena Carter." The church doors blast open, revealing rows of stitched-shut worshippers kneeling before an altar made of blackwood portraits. At the center, a fresh noose woven from Eleanor's hair. Lena staggers back into the manor, her breath coming in ragged gasps. The front door slams and vanishes behind her, the wall now smooth and seamless, as if no exit ever existed. The air smells of burnt hair and rotting roses. Above her, the chandelier shatters silently, its crystals freezing mid-fall like 1,000 hanging daggers. A whisper from the walls. "Welcome home, sister." The walls breathe. Lena presses her palm against the wallpaper. It pushes back with a slow, rhythmic pulse. When she tears a strip away, muscle tissue glistens beneath. The grandfather clock chimes 12:06. All the portraits turn their heads in unison to stare at her, their stitched mouths straining to speak. From the kitchen, the sound of a knife sharpening. The children appear. 3 pale figures sit at the dining table, their legs swinging just above the floor. Their faces are smeared with soot, their lips crudely stitched with black thread. The smallest child holds out a jump rope made of braided hair. "Child 1, you have to play with us." His voice comes from the cellar, not his mouth. Child 2, she doesn't remember the rules. Spoken through the radio static. Child 3. "We'll teach her." This one's voice is Eleanor's. The jump rope moves on its own, forming a noose that drifts toward Lena's neck. The kitchen incident. Lena flees into the kitchen, where the refrigerator door stands open, its shelves filled with glass jars. Each contains a floating human tongue, all stitched at the root. The oven turns itself on, its interior glowing black instead of orange. From inside, a familiar voice, Tom's, begs, "Lena, Lena, help me." When she opens the oven door, a wave of black threads erupts, wrapping around her wrist. They spell words as they crawl up her arm. "Feed us. Remember, you did this." The attic revelation. Lena tears free and stumbles upstairs. The attic door, previously locked, now gapes open, a trail of fresh blood droplets leading inside. Within, a nursery frozen in time, dustless and pristine, a crib with the sheet still moving, as if someone just stood up on the wall, a family portrait, the parents' faces burned away, but 2 little girls, Eleanor and a toddler Lena, clearly visible. The music box on the dresser opens itself, playing a lullaby that slows down unnaturally. From the crib, a tiny hand rises, clutching a doll with Lena's face. The doll's mouth unstitches itself and whispers, "You were supposed to die with me." The final message. Lena collapses to her knees, her vision swimming. The attic walls peel away like skin, revealing hundreds of names carved into the house's bones, every Blackwood child born and sacrificed since 1793. At the very bottom, freshly etched, Lena Carter died age 28. The letters bleed black sludge that forms into a small, familiar hand, her own, that points accusingly at her. From everywhere and nowhere, Eleanor's voice. "Tick-tock, sister." The music box shatters. The lights die. In the sudden dark, something cold and stitched presses against Lena's back and breathes. Lena claws at the blood-slicked floorboards, her nails splitting as she pries up a hidden hatch revealed by the attic's peeling wallpaper. A wound-like crevice yawns open, exhaling air that smells of burnt birthday candles, rusty scissors, wet stitches dissolving. The spiral stairs beneath aren't wood or stone, they're fused vertebrae, still glistening. Each step groans like a dying man as she descends. Int. Blackwood Ritual Chamber, continuous. The chamber is alive, walls pulse like a throat-swallowing, ceiling drips black amniotic fluid, floor is a mosaic of teeth arranged in concentric circles. At the center, the original altar, a petrified womb with its arteries still connected to the walls. Eleanor's bones are woven into its structure, her rib cage serving as a chandelier holding still burning human tallow candles. The ritual tableau. Lena's flashlight dies. The room illuminates itself in pulsing veins of bioluminescent rot. She sees The pact. A contract written on skin, her own baby skin, taken during her death, signed in Blackwood blood with one addition. Lena Carter, returned by Eleanor's hand, 1987, The Tools. A bone needle still threaded with Lena's umbilical cord, a basin filled with liquid moonlight, the stolen screams of sacrificed children, scissors made from Eleanor's femurs, the witnesses. Hundreds of shadow figures pressed against the walls like flies in amber, their stitched mouths working in unison, reciting the Blackwood oath. Flesh pays for flesh, blood for time, a sister for a... The recitation cuts off as Lena vomits up a black thread. Eleanor's final gift. The altar splits open, revealing a tiny coffin containing Lena's preserved stillborn twin, the corpse's mouth stitched with Eleanor's hair, a pulsing red thread connecting its heart to Lena's chest. When Lena touches it, the room screams. The walls peel back like eyelids, revealing the true house, an infinite cathedral of preserved Blackwood children, each suspended by threads through their lips, wrists, and eyelids. At the center, Eleanor in her true form, a column of sewn-together faces, her body woven from the contract itself. She unstitches her chest, offering Lena the scissors to cut the thread and doom Ravenbrook, the needle to take Eleanor's place as the house's heart. The choice. As Lena reaches for the scissors, every light in Ravenbrook goes out. The townspeople vomit black thread simultaneously. Her stillborn twin's eyes snap open. They're hers. Eleanor's final whisper, "You were never the sacrifice, Lena. You were the anchor." The floor opens like a mouth. The basin of liquid moonlight erupts, flooding the floor with Lena's stolen screams. They take shape, hundreds of ghostly children's hands grasping at her ankles. Eleanor's bone chandelier rattles, candle flames twisting into human silhouettes mid-scream. The stillborn twin's coffin splinters open, its tiny occupant crawling toward Lena on threads like a marionette. Lena grabs the femur scissors. The moment her fingers close around them, her mouth seals shut with invisible stitches. The walls vomit black thread, aiming to cocoon her. The stillborn twin opens its mouth, and Eleanor's voice comes out, "Cut your thread, and the house dies. Cut mine, and you die with it." The unstitching begins. Lena stabs the scissors into her own chest, not to cut, to dig. Her fingers, guided by something older than the house, pull the red thread from her ribs. It's connected to the stillborn twin, Eleanor's woven corpse, the altar's petrified womb. The thread burns her hands, searing words into her skin. Choose who dies. Lena's vision fractures. She's an infant in Eleanor's arms. The house shrieks around them. Eleanor, already half-stitched into the walls, bites through the red thread connecting baby Lena to the altar. Blood pours from her mouth as she whispers, "Live." Then she sews her own lips shut with Lena's umbilical cord. The memory ruptures. Present. The final cut back in the chamber, Lena understands. She doesn't cut the thread. She pulls it. The red cord unravels the house's seams. Walls peel apart like rotten skin. Portraits bleed their subjects out. The stillborn twin dissolves into moths. Eleanor's corpse unfurls like a tapestry, revealing the original sin, a small stitched hole in reality where the first Blackwood pierced through to something hungry. From it whispers, "We had a bargain." Lena spits the bone needle into her palm and stitches the hole shut with her own hair. The chamber implodes. Stair Math, Ext, Ravenbrook Manor, dawn. Lena crawls from the rubble, her mouth bleeding but free of threads. Behind her, the house collapses in on itself, but not before she sees Tom's ghost, mouth finally unstitched, nodding at her Eleanor's reflection in a falling mirror, smiling her own hands. now scarred with black thread patterns. In the distance, Ravenbrook's church bells ring normally for the first time in centuries. Then, a tug in her chest. Lena coughs. A single black thread slithers between her lips. The moment Lena's final stitch seals the rift, the house screams. Walls crack like eggshells, bleeding black tar portraits melt, their subjects stepping free in shadows and bone. The grand staircase unfurls like a tongue, depositing generations of stitched-mouth victims into the foyer. Their collective breath forms words in the dust. Our turn. XT. Ravenbrook Town Square. Continuous. The church bell rings itself backwards, shattering windows. Townspeople stumble into the streets, clutching their throats as black threads erupt from their mouths like reverse vomiting. Their skin becomes translucent, revealing stitched organs beneath the general store's mannequins step down, their plaster faces cracking to show real eyes inside. Mrs. Dunn laughs through 7 mouths as her skin unzips along stitch lines, releasing the first sacrifice, a girl from 1793, her burial dress woven from ledger pages. She points at the butcher. His meat cleaver turns in his grip and cuts his own lips free. The reckoning, montage, the barber. His straight razor floats, shaving away his face in one long strip, reveals stitches where his skull should be. The mayor dragged into the dry fountain, now gushing black liquid. His gold pocket watch fills with screaming worms. The children, their hopscotch grid ignites, burning with names of dead Blackwood babies. They skip rope with the mayor's severed tendons, all while the sky pulses like a slow-beating heart, casting stitch-shaped shadows. Lena's choice. Lena stands in the ruins of the manor, Eleanor's bone scissors in hand, watching Ravenbrook burn. From the rubble, Tom's ghost emerges, his mouth finally free. He signs, "You could leave. They won't follow." Then, a whisper in the wind, Eleanor's voice, "Or you could guide them." Lena looks at the scissors. They've transformed, now silver and surgical, thrumming with unfinished purpose. She presses the blades to her own shadow and cuts. The shadow peels away, growing into a towering, stitchless silhouette with Lena's face and Eleanor's eyes. It opens its arms, and the vengeful spirits flow into it like ink into water. The new pact. The stitched rift in reality appears before Lena, still bleeding. Instead of sealing it, she presses the scissors inside and snips once. A soundless scream shakes the town as every Blackwood portrait bursts into moths, the church steeple twists into a corkscrew of flesh, the town square clock now reads, "Never in bloody hands." Lena exhales a single black thread. It floats upward, sewing the sky shut. Epilogue. 1 year later, Ext. Ravenbrook Cafe. Day. A new waitress serves coffee to the few remaining locals. She has scarred lips that occasionally glow faintly red, a shadow that moves 3 seconds behind her, a hairpin made of bone. The radio plays static, but she hums along like it's a lullaby. Outside, the rebuilt Ravenbrook Manor watches from the hill, its windows winking. Fade to black. The house breathes its last, walls collapsing inward like a rotted lung, foundation cracking open to reveal a pit of writhing black threads. Lena staggers through the smoke, her lips bleeding from self-inflicted bite marks, shadow missing, left behind in the ritual chamber. Pockets filled with teeth that whisper in unison. The townspeople's screams fade behind her as the spirits drag them into the collapsing manor. Only Mrs. Dunn remains standing at the edge of town, her shawl unraveling into smoke as she mouths, "You'll be back." The road out. Lena's car refuses to start, the engine filled with black liquid that forms shapes. A hanging noose scissors. Her own face, mouth stitched. She abandons it, stumbling down the highway as the rising sun casts stitch-shaped shadows across the asphalt. A single crow follows, its left wing unnaturally elongated like a strip of cloth. The hitchhiker. A rusted pickup truck slows beside her. The driver, 60s, missing 3 fingers, rolls down his window. Driver. You look like you seen the devil. Lena climbs in. The radio plays static, but the driver hums along to a non-existent melody. As they pass the now leaving Ravenbrook sign, the crow lands on the hood, its beak opening vertically to reveal human teeth. The radio clears momentarily. 3rd disappearance this month. Before cutting to a child singing Lena's reflection in the side mirror mouths words she didn't say. I left something behind. The first stop. At a gas station 20 miles out, Lena enters the restroom. The mirror shows her real face, mouth slightly too wide, eyes too black, the stitch scars on her lips glowing faintly red. Eleanor's hand resting on her shoulder, but no one's there. She splashes water on her face. When she looks up, the tiles behind her spell in blood droplets. The house remembers. A black thread slithers from the faucet. The final shot, back on the road, the truck passes under a bridge. For one frame of darkness, Lena's eyes turn milk white, the driver's face becomes Mrs. Dunn's. The crow explodes into moths. Then, daylight. Normalcy. The truck merges onto the interstate. Lena digs in her pocket, pulling out a single bone button from Eleanor's dress. It pulses warm as the camera pulls back to reveal every mile marker they pass is stitched with black thread. Fade to black. Post-credit teaser int. Motel room. Night. Lena sleeps fitfully. The lamp flickers. Her shadow peels off the wall and stitches the door shut with thread pulled from its own wrists. Roll credits. The camera pushes in slowly on Lena sleeping in her new city apartment. The room is modern, clean, normal, except for the nightlight that keeps unscrewing itself. The wall thermostat stuck at 12.06 degrees, a single black thread tied around her big toe. Her phone buzzes on the nightstand. A text from an unknown number. You forgot something. Attached. A photo of Ravenbrook Manor. Fully restored, its windows glowing warm and inviting. The mirror. Lena stumbles into the bathroom, splashing water on her face. When she looks up, first glance, normal reflection. Blink, her mouth is stitched shut. Blink, normal again. Then, the faucet turns on by itself, the water black and thick. It overflows, spilling onto the floor in distinct shapes. A bone needle, the Blackwood family crest. The word, Anchor, the closet. A distant child's giggle pulls Lena to her closet. Inside, her shadow stands fully detached, holding something. It opens its hands, revealing the stillborn twin's corpse, now perfectly preserved. The tiny mouth unstitches itself and whispers, "You didn't really think distance mattered, did you?" The final shot. Lena slams the closet door, but when she reopens it, the apartment is gone. She stands in Ravenbrook Manor's foyer, wearing Eleanor's nightgown. Every mirror in sight reflects different versions of her. Age 6, holding the jump rope. Age 28, mouth stitched. Age 70, skin covered in stitch scars. From the hallway, a familiar voice, her own but distorted, calls, "Lena, come play with us." The camera zooms into her widening eye, where in the pupil's reflection we see the bone button from scene 11, now stitched to Eleanor's dress back in the manor. Hard cut to black. Sound. A needle-piercing fabric in the darkness. Thanks for watching. If you enjoyed this video, hit that like button, subscribe, and ring the bell for more. Let me know your thoughts in the comments. I'd love to hear from you. See you in the next one. Bye for now.